Hi there, and welcome to the world premiere of Scrap With Me ×3. And this is a brand new collaboration that I'm doing with two other amazing creative memories advisors. Kylie Kingham, who's also known as Paper Sweetpea from Australia, and Lauren Hinds, who you'll know from Craft Some Joy, who is an advisor in the United States of America. And my name is Noreen Smith. I'm also known as Organized and Creative Mom, and I'm located in Canada. So it's really fun, really cool to have three different advisors from three different countries share three very different takes and very different styles of using our amazing Creative Memories products. So we're super excited to bring you this first collaboration. And I think we really hope that it will be an ongoing collaboration, and we hope you guys are going to enjoy it. Now, for this first episode, we are all going to be working with the beautiful Welcome Home collection that launched earlier this month from Creative Memories. So after you watch what I'm going to be doing with it today, you'll definitely want to head over and see what Kylie and Lauren are both up to. And of course, I'm going to have all of the links down below, so you'll be able to finish off my video and click on the links below to head over and watch their videos using the Welcome Home collection. So I'm going to flip my screen over so you can see what's on my table and get started with my project. I've really been enjoying working with the new Welcome Home collection. Just as the name suggests, it's all about that warm, welcoming feeling that we get when we are in our homes. It features patterns and icons and word art and images that really work with photos of our homes and our gardens. And recently I've been doing some photo organization, and I came across these photos of my dad's garden. And my dad loved gardening. He loved having a place to watch the little birds come to the bird bath, and he always really enjoyed challenging the gardening zone that he lived in. So he would build these kind of trellis structures and really kind of challenge himself to see if he could grow different kinds of plants that normally wouldn't do so well in his zone. So I thought I would love to showcase some of those photos. And I noticed that in the Welcome Home Designer paper pack, there was this pretty trellis pattern paper. So I thought about using that, but as I looked at some of the embellishments, I noticed that there was this gorgeous die cut embellishment with, again, that trellis or lattice sort of design. And I thought that if I could create a bigger version of this, I could use that as kind of a base for a scrapbook layout about my dad's garden and about how he loved to, really train those gorgeous flowers up the trellis. So although this lattice or trellis is really kind of the inspiration for my layout, it's not big enough, but I decided that I would use my Cricut to create a larger version of it that would really take up a lot more space on my layout. So I'm going to use the digital version of this lattice embellishment in my Cricut design space to create that large trellis that I can put on my page. So let's take a look at how I'm going to do that. So now I'm in my Cricut Design Space software, which you can download from Cricut.com. And I want to use this new project to create a larger version of the lattice design that I was showing you. So I'm going to go and first of all upload it into my Cricut. So I need to upload the image, and I'm going to browse to where I have it on my computer. Now, I have already gone into the Creative Memories site, purchased the digital art kit, and downloaded it. And I actually have a file on my computer that has all of the digital art kits already saved in it. So I just navigate to Welcome Home, and because I know that the lattice is actually an embellishment, I'm going to browse to this element folder. So just open that, go into where all of the elements are, and I'm just going to scroll down, and I'm pretty sure it's called Lattice. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. And just double click to add it, and now it is in my Cricut Design Space. We have to tell Cricut Design Space a little bit about this. I think it's a fairly simple image type. You can see that already the checked background shows what will be cut away. So I'm just going to leave it as a simple image type and continue. And then it's going to preview the image. So again, everywhere I see the checkered background, that's going to be what's cut away. That looks really good to me. I could go in and do some erasing if need be, but I like the way that looks. Everything looks fine. You can, make it larger so that you can see and double check everything, but I like the way that looks. So let's go ahead and apply that. It's going to give me the option of printing first and then cutting. I'm just going to cut this image out. So I'm going to choose cut image and upload. And now you can see that basically a black and white version of the lattice is now in my images. I'm going to click on it and add it to my canvas. And it's going to pop up there, and you can see when you look at the size buttons here, it's huge. Obviously that's way too big for a scrapbook page. So I think I would like it to be about 6 inches wide. So if I enter 6 inches, that will automatically sort of scroll it down. But I want it to be 12 inches or as close to 12 inches high as I can. So I have to unlock the aspect ratio, and then I can specify how big I want it. So I know that for the Cricut mats that I use, 11.5 is actually as tall as it would cut. So I'm gonna choose 11.5, press enter, and you can see that it did sort of stretch it a little bit. That's okay, I don't mind it, as long as it's going to be tall enough for my page. Then when we click on Make It, it will show us how it's going to fit onto the mat, onto the paper. And I know this is black on black, but you can see that that's about as big as we're going to get it. That will work really well for our scrapbook page. And again, you can see that that's on a 12-inch by 12-inch size mat. So now I can continue. And it's asking me to please connect my Explore machine. I have an Explore Air 2. And once it's connected, it's asking me to make sure I've got the material set, etc. I can go ahead and load my mat with my cardstock in it into my Cricut, and it's going to cut that beautiful lattice pattern out for me. So here is my lovely large lattice. You can see that it's, as we said, not quite 12 inches. It's going to be 11 inches tall. And after I sent my design to the Cricut to cut, I pulled it off of the mat. You can see here the background there. And I can just set that aside, and I've got that 6-inch by 11.5-inch piece ready to go. And again, it's really going to be the star of my page. So I'm not going to be using the lattice paper anymore. I'll save that for something else. I am going to be using this pretty blue paper with the ditzy or tiny florals on one side, and then more of an open type of floral on the back side. And I think I'm actually going to be creating some of my flowers and photo mats with that. And again, that paper is from the designer paper pack. And I'm going to be using 2 papers from the Tone on Tone paper pack. I'm going to be using this kind of cement tan colored paper. It has a bit of a stripe on the back, but I think this is going to be a lovely neutral. And then I'm going to be using this paper that has the kind of foliage or woven pattern on it. And I think I'm going to be cutting some vines and leaves from that. So I think if I use the blue floral paper with the sort of cement tone on tone paper on top of it, that will create a really pretty background. So I'm going to be trimming this piece down. But I want to be able to use a lot of this paper. So I'm actually going to gut a square from the center of it. And then that, of course, will be covered by the larger piece of the tan paper. So let's go ahead and cut. I'm going to start by trimming this piece down to 11 inches square. just by trimming 1 inch off of 2 sides of the paper to get my 11-inch square. And then let's cut out the center section of this paper so I have some extras to work with. So I'm just going to put this at the 2-inch mark, and I'm going to actually use the line on the side of my blade housing, and I'm going to start cutting at 2 inches here, and I'm going to stop cutting at 10 inches. And when I do this on all 4 sides, I'm going to be able to cut the center of this paper out so that I can use it for other aspects of my design. So now I have this nice 8-inch square of paper that I can use to mat some of my photos. I think I'm going to be trimming them down to just slightly smaller than 4 inches. So I should be able to get some mats out of that. And also I'm going to be punching some floral designs from this paper. So we'll come to that in just a second. So you can see I've got my kind of hollow frame here, my gutted piece of paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and place my cement background sheet here. And then the idea is that my lovely lattice will go across the top of it and then my photos down the side. So let's go ahead and start cutting some vines and maybe some leaves and some flowers to add to our trellis. So first of all, I'm going to cut a few photo frames here. As I mentioned, I'm going to be cutting some of these photos down to, you know, just about the 4-inch by 4-inch size. So I think I'll go ahead and just cut my photo mats to 4 inches by 4 inches, and then I can make sure that the photos are going to fit. And I think I'll be able to fit 3 photos there, so I'm going to use 3 of those 4 by 4 squares for my mats. So here I've got another little piece that I can actually create some flowers with, and as I mentioned, I'm going to punch some leaves and create some vines from the green paper. So we do have a beautiful 5-leaf punch. So I'm going to use that for my leaves. And I think using the wavy blade of the 12-inch decorative trimmer will be perfect for the vines. But currently we don't have any floral punches. So I'm going to pull out the Piece by Piece Trio, which is a fun little mini trio set that was launched last spring as part of one of the kids lines, the Out of This World line. And we're going to use this shape to make the petals for our flowers. And then we're actually going to also punch this shape from some of the green to make kind of the center stem. I don't think we'll use this, but if we have any use for the little dots, I can pull that back in. So let's go ahead and punch some petals for our flowers. I think 5 would be good. So I've got 5 petals there. And then for a base, I'm just going to come in and use the center of the smallest custom cutting system circle and the blue blade. So I'm just going to make sure that the pegs are in the track there and cut out a little circle. And now I can start adding my petals to the circle. And I think I'm going to have the lighter blue paper showing for my petals, because if I do the other side with all of the tiny florals, I think some of the detail is going to get lost. So I'm just going to add a good amount of adhesive to my little base circle and then just start adding in my flower petals. So I'm just trying to kind of eyeball the center of this circle. You're not going to see the circle behind it. I'm just adding those on, overlapping as I go. You could do this with repositionable adhesive as well, and then kind of move the petals around as you need to. So there's the 5th one. So I can see that, you know, maybe I'll just move some of these petals just a little bit until I like the arrangement. And then I'm going to go ahead with this little sort of chubby star. It's like a, not quite an angular star. It's got a little bit of curved edges to it. I'm also going to use the same green paper, and that's going to be the center of my flower. And because it has the 5 sort of points on it, it's going to cover up the 5 seams where I placed the petals together. So that's how quick those little flowers come together. And I'm just going to kind of ruffle up the edges a little bit, just for a little bit of depth and dimension. And then the other thing I like to do with something like this is just take, a little brown fine tip pen and just add some little dots to it, kind of clustering them into the center, kind of where the center of the flower would be. You could also draw a few lines, but I really like the way that that little flower looks with just the center star detail and the little dots. So I'm going to make a few of these, and they're going to go on our lattice. Now the next thing I have to do is to actually punch some leaves to go in behind the flowers. So with this 5-leaf punch, I think I'm going to get lots and lots of leaves, lots of foliage to put on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and punch several from this green foliage paper. So I have my nice little pile of leaves there, and I can always punch some more if I need to. But the next thing I need to do is trim some vines. And as I mentioned, we're just going to do that with the wavy blade of the 12-inch decorative trimmer. So I'm just going to place the edge, a straight edge of the same paper I've been using to punch from. I'm just going to place it kind of 2 little notches past the wavy blade, and that will just be a little piece to discard. And then I'm just going to move it again 2 little notches. So if I can show you exactly where I'm placing it, 2 notches past the blade. And then when I trim it, I'll have a nice little sort of curvy piece that I can use for my vines. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim maybe about 4 of those. I'm kind of thinking I'll have 3 main ones and then maybe trim 1 down to be sort of the growing vines. So as you can see, I've still got lots of paper left if I need to trim more vines or if I need to punch more leaves. And then I think we are ready to kind of start assembling. So first of all, I'm just going to adhere the cement piece to the center of my layout, my base page. And now we're going to get to play with the vines and flowers and leaves. So I think what I'm going to do is just sort of weave these pieces through the lattice. And again, these vine pieces are 12 inches long, but my actual trellis is only 11.5, so they're going to be a little bit longer. But I like that, and maybe the one next to it could, again, just kind of start a little bit different, could kind of go in the opposite way. We just want this to look as though these vines are just growing and climbing all over this trellis. And let's do another one. Pulling it through, just kind of weaving it through the open areas. We're going to use some adhesive once we get it all in place, but I kind of like that look. And again, I can even it up as I go along. And then I'm going to be able to just sort of, place some of these leaves. I can use both sides, they're both a really pretty dark green. And then I'll be able to add my flowers. So I'm going to have to make some more flowers, but I'm kind of thinking that I might want a cluster of flowers here, a cluster of flowers there, and then maybe one down here as well. And then that would be just like that. Then I can add my photos. I'm going to need to trim them down. Or maybe I'll use the lighter blue side. So I think maybe probably 3 inches by 3 inches there. And then I can add some embellishments. So let me go ahead and kind of adhere these together. I'm going to use the repositionable adhesive to just sort of tack down where I think things will be going. And then I can always move them around once I decide my final placement. So I've just gone ahead and made the other two little flowers and kind of tacked down where I think the vines will work best. The lattice itself is not attached to my background paper yet. I'm just trying to get everything in there. And the other thing that I've been doing is just going in and trimming some of these 5-leaf leaves into kind of 3-leaf leaves and 2-leaf leaves. And I'm just going to be adding those in and amongst the lattice itself. So that's kind of just a pretty little sort of extra. I might just have to trim some of these a little bit more to make them look a little bit more believable, and then add them as I go. And then because I've got that one extra piece, I thought maybe if I just sort of cut it into some other small strips, then I could also have some of the vines just kind of, again, kind of growing up and through the trellis. So something like that, just kind of a really sort of loose feeling, and adding some more vines like that. Now I can trim my photos down to maybe 3 inches. And again, I really just want to focus on those beautiful flowers, maybe 3 1/4. Let's try that. And so those are going to just hop on there, and I'll be able to really show off my dad's beautiful climbing garden. So now that I know what I'm doing with my photos, I'm going to pull out the embellishments and let's play around with it. Of course, I don't think I'm going to use that lattice that was the inspiration, but we have some other really fun ones that I've just kind of pulled out to see if we can work with. I think Pride and Joy has to go in there. One of these 2 little journal boxes. We could use Stay a While. And I think the little birds have to be in there too. Our Garden would be a natural for, you know, a title. And then, as I mentioned, it was Dad's Pride and Joy, so we can incorporate that and maybe overlap it with one of the journal boxes. And then I know that on the sticker strip, there's this little sticker that says My Sanctuary. And I think that that is, you know, a real sort of indication that that was somewhere where my dad liked to go. My mom enjoyed it. It was a real sanctuary, a real special place for them. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing. Maybe incorporating these garden tools, maybe down at the bottom here. And as I mentioned, those little birds need to be in there somewhere too. So I can incorporate them, tack this all down, and then what I want to do is just lift the lattice off the surface of the background paper with some foam squares, and then add my little dots. So now that I have my trellis pretty much ready, I'm just going to flip it over, and adding those embellishments and the vines and everything really sort of helps it all stay together. So I'm going to go ahead and add some foam squares to the back here so that the trellis will look as though it's sort of sitting off and away from the background wall, which is of course how, you know, a trellis really works when you add it to your garden. So I think you're going to get a sense that as I place it on my layout there, it's just going to give that really nice sense of dimension and make it look as though that trellis is just sitting on the background wall there. I'll finish up my journaling and maybe add a couple of these sweet little gems here, maybe to the center of the flowers. And then I think this layout, that's sort of a little tribute to my dad's garden, will be complete. And I'll be sure to show that to you at the very, very end. So I hope if you have some pretty garden pictures that you want to make a special layout for, you give that idea a try. And again, if you don't have something like a Cricut or a Silhouette or a Brothers Scan and Cut, definitely think about using that white trellis paper to sort of create the trellis look on your page. So I'm going to show you a picture of the finished layout with all of the little extras and the journaling and everything just here in a moment. But don't forget to head on over to Kylie and Lauren's YouTube channels to watch their take on using this beautiful Welcome Home collection. Of course, if you live in Canada, I am happy to be your Creative Memories advisor. You can shop on my Canadian Creative Memories website, and definitely think about becoming a Creative Memories advisor and joining my team. If you're in Australia, you can shop on Kylie's CM website and join Kylie's team down under. And if you live in the United States, you can shop from Lauren's US CM site and join her Scrap Some Joy team of Creative Memories advisors. So no matter where you live, Canada, Australia, or the United States, hopefully you'll be able to connect with one of us for all of your CM products needs, and also if you wanted to become a Creative Memories advisor. We'd love to welcome you to the CM sisterhood. Now, all the links will be in the description box below, but before you leave, don't forget to tell us what you liked about this video, what you like about the idea of the collaboration between the three of us, and also some suggestions of what you'd like to see us do in future Scrap With Me ×3 videos. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for this collaboration to become a regular, ongoing thing, and we hope you join us again. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.